Welcome to our final panel of the day. Thank you for being here despite the weather. Our final panel of the day is Reevaluating U.S. Policy in Afghanistan and Pakistan, a very timely topic to end on. We're very lucky to have a wonderful group of panelists, and Caroline Wadhams, who's joining us as the moderator. Caroline Wadhams is the Director for South Asia Security Studies at the Center for American Progress. She has written extensively on Afghanistan and Pakistan, as well as monitored elections in both countries. She has worked for the former Senator Russ Feingold on foreign policy issues, among other things. Please join me in welcoming Caroline Wadhams and the panel.
Hi, everyone. And is this on? Okay. On behalf of the Middle East Institute, I want to welcome you to our panel entitled Reevaluating U.S. Policy in Afghanistan and Pakistan. I want to first thank the Middle East Institute, and in particular Ambassador Wendy Chamberlain, Kate Seeley, and Marvin Weinbaum for including me. We have an esteemed group here to discuss the Obama administration's tour to Afghanistan and Pakistan and to review its successes and failures thus far, and to offer an analysis of the policy options facing the Obama administration. Two upcoming events in particular force a reflection on U.S. policy, and that is the Lisbon Summit, the NATO Summit in Lisbon, Portugal, later this month, and of course the strategic review that the Obama administration will undertake in December, 1 year after the West Point speech in which President Obama announced his decision both to increase troop levels in Afghanistan by 30,000 and also to establish the July 2011 timeline for a beginning of a reduction. So we have a great group here to shed light on the strategy, give us their assessment of how things are going thus far. I'm going to briefly introduce them. They will each speak for about 15 minutes, and then we will turn it over to you all for a question and answer session. I'd like to start first with my colleague, Brian Katulis, who is a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress, where his work focuses on U.S. national security policy in the Middle East and South Asia. He has served as a consultant to numerous NGOs, private corporations, and governmental agencies on projects in more than 24 countries, including Iraq, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Yemen, and Egypt. And he also lived and worked in the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and Egypt for the National Democratic Institute for International Affairs. Next to Brian, we have Dr. Stephen Biddle, who is the Roger Hertog Senior Fellow for Defense Policy at the Council on Foreign Relations. He has held numerous positions at universities and think tanks, and he is a member of the Defense Policy Board and has served on military strategic assessment teams for both General Stanley McChrystal and General David Petraeus. Next to Dr. Biddle, we have Paul Pillar, who is a visiting professor and director of studies of the Security Studies program in the School of Foreign Service at Georgetown University. He retired in 2005 from a 28-year career in the U.S. intelligence community, in which his last position was National Intelligence Officer for the Near East and South Asia. He's also served in the National Intelligence Council as one of the original members of its analytic group. And finally, Hassan Abbas, who is a professor at Columbia University's South Asia Institute and a senior advisor at the Belfer Center at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. His well-acclaimed book, Pakistan's Drift into Extremism, Allah, the Army and America's War on Terror, remains on bestseller lists in both Pakistan and India. After those very brief introductions, I'm going to turn it over first to Brian Katulis to give us his broad overview of the current strategy and a preview, if you are able, of the December review in December. Thanks, Brian.
Great.